And welcome back to centralcoastradio.com. Well, it is time for another one of these amazing lists that our team puts together from time to time. And today, because of No Hard Feelings out in cinemas, we thought we would actually take a look at the best kind of adult orientated comedies that have come out over the years that we all know and love. And today we're going to kick it off with Lee. What's your favorite adult orientated comedy film?
Okay, so I've written down a couple. I'm going to go with We're the Millers. I just find that quite hilarious in parts.
That was really good.
Yeah, a fake family getting together to avoid all sorts drugs. Of situations and in the drug ring. But all these people like just put into circumstances beyond what would really happen, you'd hope, in real life. But some of the lines in it are hilarious, and some of the visuals too of the teenage boy getting bitten by, is it a spider, I think?
Big spider thing.
Yes. So if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's funny.
I think my favorite
It was funny. I thought that one was going to be, kind of questionable, and when I saw it I thought, oh, this is actually awesome.
Yeah. I think my favorite line in that is when the gangster yells at Will Pulse's character and he's like, don't you look at your mother like that, like after her dance. So
it's very it's not a kids movie in any way. Like themes of the movie are very adult, and of course you've got the drug storyline as well. So Bridesmaids, now, in parts that's so gross, like pooping in the middle of a street and oh my goodness. But that comedy, it's just so well written, but it makes me laugh so much. Not many movies make me laugh to the point of I can't breathe these days. But there were points in that movie where I was just gone. There are a couple of movies where there's hilarious one-liners, and in today's trying to be politically correct world, you shouldn't be laughing, but it's so funny. And the way back just has some some brilliant one-liners that you're like, I shouldn't be laughing at that, but I just can't help myself. So have a look at that if you have not seen it before. But my number one is Due Date. Has everyone seen Due Date before?
Yeah.
That Galifianakis.
And
Robert Downey Jr. This is the movie that I can watch over and over and still laugh. Most movies, once I've seen it, I've had a laugh, move on. But the couple I've already mentioned and this one, it's just, the lines in it are hilarious. The acting, the way both Robert and Zach just act out their parts.
It's the whole odd couple thing, because they both get
thrown together.
They get thrown off a flight and then have to get in a car together.
Which is
planes, trains, automobies kind of thing. Like it's always good.
Yes. And this character of Ethan, which is Zach Galifianakis, he's the most annoying person in the world. He's just got no really social cares really in the world for there's no empathy for other people or understanding of other people really, and he does things purposely, but he also does things just because he's oblivious to the things around him, and he just makes the poor character of Peter, his life just an absolute nightmare while they go on this road trip.
Because Peter needs to get back because his wife's about to give birth.
It makes me laugh, but of course it's adult humor, and there's a few things that character of Ethan does, it's just like, oh, that's gross, like but you also
spits on the dog and rage.
He does all sorts of things. It's just, it makes me laugh. And so if you haven't seen it and that's the kind of comedy you like, please watch it. Like, you're missing out if you don't watch this film.
Definitely. So Harley, what are your favorite adult orientated comedies?
I mean, my list struggled to find something at first because my memory just vanished of all movies in general. And then I remembered, and yeah, the floodgates opened. So yeah, like there's a few series of things that I like, like the scary movies and the Harold and Kumar films. And as I'm sure David, you're going to mention shortly, the those early Kevin Smith films with
Yeah.
Mallrats and Chasing Amy and all that. Like I thought they were really great. Um, some of the ones that stick with me are far older ones. Now, I haven't seen it in my adult years, but when I was a child, it used to pop on TV, and I just keep remembering little bits and pieces of that film Bachelor Party with Tom
Oh
Hanks.
yeah.
Did anyone know that one?
Yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah, something about that just sticks in my head. So I think I want to watch that again because I might enjoy it. And I don't know, I love it when things get inappropriate. I grew up watching all the Carry On movies on TV. That is like my favorite series of movies. Just full of like innuendos, kind of wordplay and just jokes that probably weren't meant for a child audience, but there's also nothing gratuitous in it. Whereas the American films would usually have something a bit more gratuitous and over the top in it.
Yeah.
But in more recent years, we've had things like Superbad and Easy A. Like those sort of films were really great. But even better was Girls Trip. Now,
Oh.
I don't know what it was about that film. Just it was the perfect cast, and I think I wouldn't have expected some of them to have gone as over the top as they did. But that was just so much enjoyment for me. I think because I just loved all of the actresses who were headlining it. But yeah, I didn't expect them to do this kind of what the hell kind of movie. And I think we saw it together, didn't we, David? We saw
Yeah,
the
we did. Yeah.
premiere. Yeah. Yeah, that's like very high on my list, that one. But I have to give a shout out to a couple of others. Now, growing up, I always used to see films with sort of cars or bikes or trucks or something in it, and I would love that as a kid. The Cannonball Run series. Has
Oh,
everybody
yes.
seen those?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I love those movies so much, and I've always been obsessed with the Lamborghini Countach because of that movie. So, um, yeah, I just thought they were the greatest things, and when I started collecting DVDs, I snapped them up as soon as I could find them. So, those were very important to me.
There's just so many actors in that one too. I think Jackie Chan
Yeah,
showed up in that
yeah,
one, in
Jackie
one of them
Chan
as
was in both
well.
the.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, I was like, geez, there's one you forget that they're in it until you're watching. It's like, oh yeah, they're in it as well.
And there's Roger Moore, and he's
Yeah.
playing himself, but he's got this like backstory that he's not really this British guy. He's just this like live at home kind of adult Jewish boy living with his mum or something, and he's just playing this like British guy. He's like,
Yeah.
James Bond, I love that little throw in. Yeah, that was just a brilliant cast of people getting together. A couple of shout outs. Zombieland.
Oh,
Loved that
yes.
movie. I thought
Yes.
that was
Yeah.
so brilliant. And I used to love watching the movies like How to Be a Player and Friday and all that sort of stuff.
Oh,
But
yeah, Friday.
yeah, geez, they went all over the place. But actually, should I mention, David, Rules of Attraction?
Well, that wasn't meant to be a comedy, but you found it funny, so yeah.
Yeah. It was supposed to be kind of funny, but not. It's a drama, but there's these moments in it where yeah,
Yeah.
some moments that aren't, well,
They're just too cliche. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we
just,
can probably say it. A girl commits suicide, which is not funny in itself, but whoever chose the music for the song, for the film, has chosen
I
the
can't
worst song. Yeah.
live.
And
But it
just
was so
becomes cliche.
cliched, like the whole scene, the way it's filmed. It was like, I swear, if that's not meant to be kind of a joke,
Yeah.
then I don't know. I guess okay, I'm sick, whatever.
The guy who made this helped make Pulp Fiction. How?
Yeah. I don't feel so
Wasn't
bad.
that funny?
Now that Harley's put that on his list, I don't feel so bad about some of the ones on mine now. So
Well, I did a bit of a web search, and it was like, funniest adult comedies and stuff. And Rules of Attraction was actually on the list. This is why I put it down. And I thought, is that
yeah.
comedy? Like, what?
All right, there we go.
So it made my
floodgates.
list just because I get to mention that.
Mm.
But there's a movie Two Can Play That Game, and I think there's a sequel which I haven't seen yet, but I'm gonna see that. Two Can Play That Game is another one I really loved. The Weekend at Bernie's movies.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And pretty much anything made by John Waters. I don't know how many people have seen his movies. They're kind of deliberately B grade, but the original Hairspray was his before it became a musical. Cry Baby with Johnny Depp. I think they're some of the ones that people might have seen. Pecker, A Dirty Shame,
Polyester.
Yes, Polyester, Pink Flamingos, Desperate Living, Female Trouble. Like, those movies are just so mad. I don't know. There's something about it that just makes me love them. And I don't know. I want to go out and make movies like that sometimes. It's just, it's so off the cuff and off the rails. But ones I've loved since childhood, and I'm going to put near the top of my list here, are the Arthur movies. Arthur and Arthur 2 on the Rocks.
Oh yeah.
They're so funny. I love those
They are
movies.
so good.
I
Dudley
used to
Moore
watch
was
them over
brilliant.
and over.
Same.
All right.
But
So
that's my choices.
all right. So some more great choices there. Kyle, what are your favorite adult orientated comedies?
Yeah, it's I'm like you guys. I really had a hard time narrowing it down because there's just so many from a few years back, and like I've enjoyed ones like the Kevin Smith's movies, even like the Will Ferrell, a lot of his movies, Seth Rogen's movies, a lot of ones from the past. I know a lot of them came out around the point that I was like finishing up high school, like in the early 2000s, that I loved, like the like American Pie and Road Trip. And so I think probably one of the ones that's like the favorite for me personally would then have to be Not Another Teen Movie, because that was one.
Yes.
Like that was one that like summarized all of those great comedies that I loved at the time, like in the early 2000s. There's just so many great adult comedies around that time, but also like other classics like Cruel Intentions and Varsity Blues and other kind of like just teen movies and stuff around that time that were great. And like this
Janie
movie,
Briggs, oh my God. She's wearing, she got glasses and her hair's in a ponytail. Oh, she's got paint on her overalls.
She's got paint on her overalls, man.
What about Jamie's got a gun?
Yeah. That's it. Like, we all like remember scenes. Oh, the Siamese twins. No, they'll be all right. They're fine.
Yeah.
But no, we need a real mess. Can't Hardly Wait. All these kind of movies around the time, and this made fun of so many of them, and like
And including
fun
the
of
80s ones.
that's
John
like,
Hughes films. It was so great.
And it's got Captain America.
Yeah, that's
it
the thing.
does.
Like it's
with his
it's
banana split.
Yes, that's the thing. Like it came out just before the idea of like parody movies and stuff became such a dumpster fire that it is now. Like thanks to all those crappy like name drop ones where it's just like, oh look, it's that from Transformers, it's that from this, and like undeservingly so. I think this movie kind of gets lumped in with them, like this one and the first two Scary Movies get lumped in with those crappy films. But like I think that they're like so hilarious, like, and as you say, the cast is just amazing as well. Like Chris Evans, just before he became such a superstar, there's just, I don't know why, but it's just like the first part, like one of his first intro, I think his intro is like he comes in and just looks at like a picture of himself and then looks at the camera like, oh yeah, he smiles, and then he moves over to another picture of himself looking at a picture of himself and looks at the camera and smiles. And I don't know why, but that's like one of my favorite parts in the whole movie, as stupid as it is.
Only people that have seen the film will get this, but what about that classic line, Dad, that's Mom?
Yeah. I don't want your
Yeah.
wife. And yeah, like it's got like Mia Kirshner, Jamie Presley, Lacey Chabert, like Mr. T and
Yeah.
Randy
So
Quaid and
good.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like so great. But it also it has like a heap of epic cameos from the 80s movies that it's making fun of, like Molly Ringwald and Paul Gleason, who was like
Yep.
reenacting his famous role from The Breakfast Club as the principal.
Yep.
Yeah, like I think it's kind of a movie which I think kind of signaled the end of like good parody movies. It's like now, y- like you can't really reference a lot of memorable scenes anymore because movies aren't quite as memorable anymore. Like I think like that was a film that was doing like callbacks to recent films, but as you say, Harley, like yeah, movies came out like 20 or 30 years back that
Yeah.
like everybody could still remember those scenes like instantly. You know, like the scene in the library of kids in detention, you know instantly what that is.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
it was like self-referential and meta and like making fun of like film trends before that became so tedious and like old hat. Like now every superhero film makes fun of superhero films like it's like some kind of shield against criticism. But like this was such a smart and well put together movie. Yeah, and of course it was the kind of like the raunchy and adult kind of stuff in it while making fun of those kind of things, like the nude foreign exchange student that
Yeah.
makes fun of the
My breasts are perky.
yeah,
Yes.
Mr. Beck, yes. The character's name is Areola.
Yeah.
And like there's a couple of jokes that at like jokes from the time which like now in relation to now's movies don't really work, but things like the single token black guy who only says like 3 lines. He
Yeah.
only like damn, that's whack. And but now when I look back at movies from like the 90s and early 2000s that actually do that unironically, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I can't help but think of Not Another Teen
Me
Movie
too.
because it's
Yeah.
like
And
yeah,
didn't
Absolutely.
that actually have one of the guys from Varsity Blues basically playing the same character he played in
yeah,
Varsity Blues?
yeah,
Yeah, Reggie Ray or whatever.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
It was like he kept getting concussions constantly
Yeah.
throughout the movie.
And it
I
was on
think
the
that
scoreboard every time he got a
yeah,
concussion.
yeah. I think it was like, oh, we need a guy that's kind of like Ron Lester from Varsity Blues to play Reggie Ray. How about we just get the guy who played Reggie? How about we just get and like there's a musical scene just out of nowhere at the end of
Oh,
the
yeah.
film, which is just hilarious, which I don't even think we can say any of
No,
it.
and also I only found out because I bought the extended version of the movie. There's actually an extended version of that song.
Yeah.
That's on the if you get the DVD or Blu-ray that's got it on there. That song actually goes a lot longer than what
Yeah,
made the final cut of the film.
that there's a lot of gags in that film that's actually like expanded on. If you see like the deleted scenes and stuff. This was again around a point there where like special features on DVDs were becoming like a new thing, and you were getting like an hour's worth of deleted scenes from a movie that you loved, and it's like an extended hour of comedy of something that you loved, you know. And like the
I'm
foreign
all
exchange.
about the special features and the
Oh yeah,
makings of, and it's got to have director's commentary for me. Like
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
all that. Yeah.
No, I love that. Like the foreign exchange student character, like in the original movie, her character was supposed to keep changing accents all the way through the movie to make fun of all the different films, which had basically the the love interest foreign exchange student. Like she was
Yeah.
supposed to be Russian and then and then Asian and stuff like that. But like obviously they changed that, so now it's kind of just a parody of American Pie. But yeah, that's another thing, just the deleted scenes in the movie and the extended musical sequence and all
and
that.
and
So
the never been kissed character.
yeah, oh yeah, the old yeah,
The old woman
that's-
playing a teenager.
yeah,
Which then
yeah.
goes into a Cruel Intentions parody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all these like the crossovers and all that stuff. Like, oh Man, yeah, that's I think this is it's really just my favorite because it's like a summation of all these great movies at the time and just making fun of them that
Yeah.
And
like
big
yeah.
props to the director for that, because when he signed on to do it, he said, "I'll only do it if we are more broad in what we look at." Because originally it was just the teen movies of the early 2000s,
Yeah.
and he said, "No, let's include the classic John Hughes stuff with Breakfast Club and all that." And
Yeah.
so
Well, they went
they
to
agreed to it, and
the kids in the
yeah,
movie go to John Hughes High School.
that's right, yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think that just made it so open to so many people, and yeah, it just ticked all the boxes.
Even just the opening where it's like the parody of the scene of Jason Biggs from American Pie, like
Yep.
pleasuring himself, but like
Yeah.
the ad, like, oh no, it's the Pope. He's come in
Yeah.
as well, like to watch it. How do you make that scene more embarrassing? Oh yeah, a bunch of kids with a birthday cake.
Yep.
Hey. No, yeah, I just love that movie so much. Now I want to watch it again.
Well, that is a great list from Kyle. And yeah, so my list, yeah, that is definitely on mine. Not Another Teen Movie is one of my favorite films, and Harley and I quite regularly break out into the song when we're together
Yeah.
as well, because it's just such a funny song. But yeah, like you said, that was probably one of the last great parody films that we had. But I also love the first two Scary Movies. I thought they worked really, really well as well. Now, again, movies that Harley, Kyle, and I quote quite often. But one of the movies that's actually parodied in Not Another Teen Movie, I love Road Trip. I still think that is like I actually like Road Trip better than American Pie. I like American Pie, but I love Road Trip just because well, let's be honest, Tom Green is a big plus, but I actually
Oh
think
yeah.
the story works a lot better as well. And Sean William Scott is so funny in that film, and there's so many classic moments. Like when I
I
want to
look
go,
anything with DJ Quails, I think,
yeah, yeah. I was that sad individual a few years ago. I think it was either Supernova or Oz Comic Con he came out to, and I was one of the only sad individuals that lined up to meet him. It's like most of the younger people didn't have any idea who he was, and I'm like, I need to meet DJ Quails. I love him in The New Guy, Road Trip. Like,
I
yeah,
got the DJ Quails autograph. I can go home now.
I've actually, yeah, I actually got him. I had lobby cards from The New Guy, and I got him to autograph them.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
sweet.
Oh man.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, what else? Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back.
Oh
Absolutely
yeah.
love that film. I know it's one of the most outrageous Kevin Smith films, but I think it's such a funny film. It has so many great lines in it. I'm trying to think what else. The Ringer with Johnny Knoxville. A very, very wrong film that's very politically incorrect these days, but one of those movies that just makes me laugh whenever I watch it. Yeah, We're the Millers, all of those. I love. Horrible Bosses, I absolutely adore. But probably my all-time favorite would be Chasing Amy. I love that film. I love the setting of it being set in the comic book world. But yeah, I was saying before off air to the guys that I almost didn't include it in this list because to me, it's also, aside from being a comedy, it's a really good drama. There is an absolutely dramatic scene in this film between Ben Affleck and Joey Lauren Adams, where everything goes pear shaped at an ice hockey game, and they end up having a huge fight in the car park. And to me, that is one of my favorite dramatic scenes in a movie ever. The performance by Joey Lauren Adams and Ben Affleck in that scene to me is Oscar worthy. The way they scream at each other. And I remember seeing Kevin Smith interviewed once, and he said it even blew him away. Like when he wrote that scene, he deliberately didn't put any comedy in it because he wanted it to be the pinnacle part of the movie where the two characters almost come to blows. They don't because it's male and female, but when they come to verbal blows, and he said he remembers standing in complete silence after the two of them performed it in front of him because it just blew him away so much. And I think that's what makes that movie so unique. Like you go back to the start of the film and there's a character talking about how black characters have been represented in pop culture over the years, and he gives this completely hilarious monologue when he's talking that just has you in stitches, and then later on in the movie you have scenes that almost make you cry because they're so dramatic. So yeah, I know Kevin Smith for me hasn't made a great film in years, but whenever I want to go back and revisit the miracle and magic of Kevin Smith's films, I always go back to Chasing Amy, because I think it's just an absolutely brilliant film. Gave us an amazing soundtrack at that time as well, including the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones. But yeah, it makes me laugh so much when I go back and watch that film, but makes me cry as well. So that is our list of
Well, you know, the thing he's made that makes me cry but not laugh, the
Right.
the Masters of the Universe thing he did with Netflix.
I still haven't watched that yet. I keep on meaning to watch it, but I haven't watched it yet. So because I think the
I mean,
reason
he came out with like the promise of, yeah, it follows directly on from the original cartoon and everyone's gonna love it. And all of a sudden people were getting these like leaks and things, and they're like, we don't
No,
think this is
honest,
what he's
they're not
saying.
real.
And he
Yeah.
totally lied about the whole
Yeah.
thing. And he's like, no, that's not happening. And it comes out, it's exactly what happened. And yeah, everyone
very
was
much
so angry at him. Yeah.
because he was somebody that kind of always talked about the true like the behind the scenes stuff of his the Superman movie that he was supposed to write, and
Yeah,
like
that's
all the
right.
behind the scenes stuff. Oh yeah, no, the producer, no, he has to fight a giant spider at the end. It's like some
Yeah,
producer
that's
that was
right.
just obsessed with that.
Yeah.
And then like for him to basically like kind of be part of the system, I think that's what people were angry about.
I miss like his stoner comedies. Like that's what I like about Jay and
Yeah.
Silent Bob Strikes Back. It's got the most amazing cameos in that film. Like Jason Biggs is in there, James Vanderbeek. The Ben Affleck and Matt Damon scenes are worth the price of admittance just for them. Like it's
Yeah,
Damn it, Ben
absolutely.
again.
yeah, because they're just making
Yeah.
so much fun of like each other and themselves, and it's yeah, that's the kind of stuff that Kevin Smith writes so well. And I think that's why Chasing Amy surprised so many people as well, because it did have a heartfelt, dramatic storyline, but with enough in there to make it a comedy as well. So yeah, that is our list of adult orientated comedies. Go and check them out if you want to. We're in the middle of winter, so it's a great time to go and sit down on the couch and watch a few comedies back to back. But we'll be back in just a moment on centralcoastradio.com.